Thank you so much for having me. Today, I'm talking about what I call the power behind the thrum. That's the systems, communication, team culture, TC leadership, and brand experience that supports the doctor's clinical vision. This presentation is about what happens behind the scenes when the doctor's clinical vision evolves and how the team turns that vision into patient understanding, confidence, and growth. So a little bit about me. I'm Caitlin Westfall, and I'm so grateful to be here with you today. I'm not an orthodontist, and that's the lens I'm bringing today. I'm speaking from the perspective of the person helping translate clinical excellence into patient experience, team systems, and brand growth. I'm the operations manager at Westfall Orthodontics, and I have the privilege of working alongside our incredible team every day to help create the kind of patient experience and practice culture that we're proud of. But outside the office, my most important roles are being a mom to two boys, Jack and William, and the wife to the love of my life, Dr. Chad Westfall. So much of what I do professionally is shaped by those personal roles: building systems, supporting people, creating meaningful experiences, and helping hold the vision together behind the scenes. So today, I'm excited to share from my perspective, not as the orthodontist, but as the person helping to support the team, the operations, the communication, and the patient experience that make the clinical vision come to life. So this is how we started. Right out of residency, Dr. Westfall purchased a retiring doctor's practice. It was the two of us. We had 4 clinical assistants and 1 treatment coordinator. At the time, we were young, excited, probably a little naive. We had a lot of energy and a lot of heart, but we really didn't know what we didn't know. We were stepping into practice ownership, leadership, patient care, community relationships, marketing. It was everything all at once. We thought we were beginning an orthodontic practice, but really we were beginning a journey of learning how to build a team, how to create trust, and shape an experience that patients and families would believe in. That beginning matters because the systems that I'm going to share today were built in real life, inside a busy practice, through trial, error, growth, and consistent commitment to getting better. And here we are today. That small beginning has grown into 3 locations. We have 2 fabulous orthodontists and more than 20 team members. But that growth was not just about adding locations or adding people. The real growth happened when we became more intentional about our clinical philosophy, intentional about our systems, our team, our communication, the patient experience, and the way we connect with our community. That is really what this presentation is about. It's about what happens behind the scenes to help a practice grow from a doctor's clinical vision into something that the whole team can understand, communicate, and bring to life. So we talk about this often with our team. We say, we're not really in the orthodontic business, we are in the people business. Yes, of course, patients come to us for straight teeth, healthy bite, and a beautiful smile, but we remind our team that every day when we clock in, each person in our office has the chance to be a positive influence on someone's day. On a busy day, we may impact 150 to 200 people. That's patients, parents, siblings, grandparents, and of course, each other. What we say, how we say it, what we do, and how we make people feel matters. We want to create beautiful, aesthetic smiles, but we also want to create an experience that's just as memorable as the result. One experience that really reinforced this for us was visiting Chick-fil-A's headquarters. Seeing their culture firsthand helped us understand how a business can deliver an industry-leading product while keeping people, relationships, and community at the center. This is the mindset we try to bring into our practice. Clinical excellence matters, but the patient experience surrounding that clinical care matters too. And that mindset became especially important when Dr. Westfall made a major clinical change in the way we were treating our patients. Because when the treatment started to look different, our team had to be prepared, not only to explain the clinical why, but to maintain the same level of trust, warmth, and confidence throughout the entire process. So we were about 10 years into practice. We had experienced significant growth. Things were just going extremely well. Dr. Westfall started noticing that there were other orthodontists that he saw were producing smiles with a totally different level of aesthetics. He saw smiles that were broader. They had better smile arcs, more tooth display, more youthful results, just those really stunning, gorgeous wow smiles. That curiosity led him to enroll in the Pitts Master's course. So 10 years into practice, he transitioned from those traditional twin brackets to the Pitts brackets and protocols. We were thrilled with the results. The smiles were just absolutely stunning. But that change created a new challenge for our team. So, of course, the bracket placement looked different. Patients noticed, parents noticed, hygienists noticed, and all of our referring offices noticed. The question that we heard over and over again was, why do you place your brackets so high? What they were really asking is this intentional? Why has Dr. Westfall changed the way he treats patients? And that question became a turning point for our practice. As our clinical philosophy evolved, we realized our patient materials needed to evolve too. We wanted our new patient materials to reflect that we were an orthodontic office highly focused on exceptional aesthetic results, not just straight teeth. We were talking about smile design, facial balance, tooth display, smile arc, and of course, that final wow smile result. But it was also really important that the materials still felt like us. We did not want them to feel cold, overly clinical, or intimidating. We wanted them to reflect our identity as a practice that is deeply invested in the patient experience. So we redesigned and created materials that could do both. They helped communicate the elevated aesthetic results we were working towards, but they also felt approachable, clear, and very patient-friendly. These materials gave our team images and language that they could use in everyday conversations with our patients. In addition to that, they gave our patients and families take-home visuals so they could continue processing and understanding their information from the consultation. Here are some examples of some of the materials that we have in our new patient welcome packets. For us, one of the most helpful pieces that we created was this flyer titled, "Why do we place brackets higher than other orthodontists in our area?" So of course, this was the question we were hearing over and over. So instead of waiting for the question to become a point of concern, we decided to answer it directly. What made this piece so helpful is that it allowed us to take the focus off the bracket placement itself and move the conversation into the result. Instead of saying, yes, the brackets are supposed to be high, we could say, let me show you why Dr. Westfall places them in this way and what kind of smile he's designing. That shifted the tone of the conversation. It made the bracket placement feel intentional rather than unusual, and it gave our team consistent language, and it gave the families a visual explanation. The goal was not just to explain where the bracket goes, the goal was to help patients understand the aesthetic result we were working to create. So once we had those materials that helped us answer the most common question, the next step was helping our families see the bigger picture. So this diagram became incredibly helpful to us. It helped us move from talking about bracket placement to talking about smile design, smile arc, smile width, vertical tooth display, facial balance, and how the smile fits the face. We use patient photos. In consultations, photos of our actual patients allow families to see the real life changes we're working to create. So it's no longer just a concept of a stock or an example photo. It's an actual result from our office. And the OC videos that I'm going to present to you have been incredibly useful. We found that they help direct the parent's eye to the specific change we're creating. Many families do not automatically know where to look. These videos allow us to say, watch the curve of that smile, or look at how the smile broadens, or notice how much more tooth display we are creating. Together, the diagrams, photos, and videos helped us to move from the conversation of why are the brackets so high to I understand the smile you're designing. And this image here is one of our patients, and she is on the cover of the OC magazine for the year. So we're very proud of her. So here's the first video. For Smile Arc, this video is helpful because it gives a way to show them something that they may not naturally notice. We direct people to watch the curve of the upper teeth and how it aligns with the lower lip. And after we show the animation to a patient, we always support it with photographs of Dr. Westfall's actual patients. The video helps to explain the movement, but the patient photos show the result in real life, which is just incredibly powerful because the patient or parent has been trained to see the change that we are now illustrating on a real live patient. You'll notice as I'm going through these photos that we usually include an image of the patient in braces. Now that's intentional. It helps families become familiar with our bracket placement in the context of the transformation without making the conversation only about the brackets. We're not just showing where the brackets are, we're showing the change that they help create. That combination has helped us to take the conversation from explanation to evidence. So this next video is for Smile With. And this video is wonderfully helpful in helping families see what we mean when we're saying, let's get a big, broad, beautiful smile. We guide them by saying, look how the smile starts to fill the face, or watch how the arches broaden to create a fuller smile. That helps our parents and patients understand our goal is not only straight teeth, we're also looking at how that smile fills the lip area. And then again, of course, we show patient photos so that families can see what broadening looks like on an actual patient. This is where patients, you can just see it in their face. They see that difference immediately. They can see how a wider smile changes the face, creates more presence, and makes the final result feel more complete. The animation teaches the movement, and the patient photos show the impact in real life. And then our third video that we love is the vertical tooth display. This is another area that the video is very helpful because it's hard for us to explain to parents and patients without actually giving them this visual. So our TCs use language like, notice how much more of the upper tooth we are able to show, or watch how the smile becomes more expressive. This video helps them see that it's not just about straight alignment of the teeth, it's about creating the right amount of the tooth showing when a patient talks, laughs, or smiles. And of course, Then we bring it back to real patient photography. So depending on the case for vertical tooth display, we may show examples where we are reducing excessive tooth display or gumminess, and then examples where we increase tooth display. And that is really tailored by the treatment coordinators for this patient-specific case. These photos help our families connect the movement to the final result and the impact that it has on the patient's face. They can see how the vertical tooth display changes the energy of the smile. And again, we include the photograph with the brackets just so that they can start to understand why the bracket placement is part of the smile design. So these 3 visuals help us teach, I'm going to try to start all of them, help us teach our families that the goal in our practice isn't only straight teeth. The goal at Westfall Orthodontics is a smile that looks beautiful and in the entire face. It's natural, broad, expressive, and intentionally designed. So I've shown you the tools that we've created and the videos that we use to help our team and treatment coordinators explain our doctor's clinical vision. The printed materials, the patient photos, the tooth diagram, and the videos. But those tools alone are not what creates trust. The way those tools are used in conversation is what really matters. So that brings me to the treatment coordinator's role. So before a family ever walks through our doors, our TC has already started building trust. We send a personalized video so that the patient and the parent know who they're going to meet when they arrive in our office. It gives them a detailed idea of what to expect and helps them to feel that we are genuinely excited to see them. I'm going to go ahead and play this video for you all.
Hi, my name is Cora and I am your treatment coordinator, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to Westfall Orthodontics. During your visit, I'll guide you through your consultation, answer questions, and go over your customized treatment plan and financial options after Dr. Westfall's recommendations. For the smoothest experience and the option to start same day, please discuss beforehand with all decision makers or have them join in person or by phone. We offer flexible interest-free financing options with down payment starting at $500, and we accept all payment methods. I look forward to meeting you and helping you start this confidence boosting journey. See you soon.
So as you can see, the video, we just send it out by text the day before the consultation. Patients, parents really seem to love it. You can see here as a text message back, we also text along with the video is just if they have not yet completed their health history forms, we'll go ahead and text that with them also. But you can see this parent wrote back, "I love this. We cannot wait for our visit. She is so excited for braces." So the goal of this message is for the family to feel like they're expected, like we're looking forward to seeing them. Before they arrive, they already have a face and a name. They already have an idea of what to expect and a sense that someone is personally looking forward to their visit. That small step we found really changes the energy of that first patient visit. So when the family arrives, our treatment coordinator greets them in the waiting room, and she then takes them on an office tour. Now, of course, in our office tour, we show all of the amenities that we have: our coffee bar, refreshment stations, restrooms, waiting room with our kids area, because of course we want them to feel comfortable and we want them to know where things are and what we have for them if needed. But the tour is really about more than our amenities or our space. Our TCs, our treatment coordinators, use it to introduce the feeling of the practice. As they walk through the office, they'll point out different team members, and we'll give a nice wave. They'll discuss things about our involvement in the community. They'll talk about, our braces off or treatment completion celebrations, and a lot of the details that tell the story of who we are. Um, not just what we do, but who we are. So the TC then escorts the parent and patient to the treatment coordinator room and offers them, beverage, water, coffee, hot tea, still sparkling water, and then goes ahead and takes the patient for photographs and x-rays. Now you can see in this photo down here of the setup of our treatment coordinator rooms. We had these designed with the patient experience in mind. You'll notice they don't look very traditional. We wanted the space to feel warm, comfortable, and collaborative, more like a conversation than a clinical evaluation or something, where we're discussing finances. That would be transactional. So the roundtable that we've implemented just creates a totally different energy. It kind of invites conversation. It feels a little more relaxed. It makes the family feel included and allows our treatment coordinators and doctors to sit with the parents and patients as though they are partners in the decision-making process. So after the office tour, when the family enters the treatment coordinator rooms, that design is intentional so that we want them to know that we're expecting them. One other way that we layer this in is that we offer a new patient welcome gift. You can see some examples of them on this slide. It's usually something branded, or it's always something branded and useful. We've done coffee mugs, winter hats, drawstring bags, water bottles, something similar. The gifts are not necessarily expensive, but they are nicely packaged and thoughtfully presented. You'll see there in the image, we also include a note from our treatment coordinators welcoming the new patient and their family to our practice. It's a small detail, but it communicates something important. It says, hey, we're prepared for you. We're glad you're here, and this experience is going to be personal. Again, it's not really about the gift itself. It's about the feeling it creates. Before we ever talk about treatment, we are already trying to help the family feel welcomed, comfortable, and cared for. At this point in the visit, we've already created a welcoming experience. We've got the personalized text video, a nice office tour, the TC room feels intentionally designed, and we've presented a welcome gift. But now the experience has to become personal. And this is where the role and training of our treatment coordinators becomes so important. So before the doctor enters the room, our treatment coordinators sit with our patients and parents to learn what matters most to them. This has become just a really great question for us to ask. We'll say, we have 4 core values that really drive our exceptional quality of care. All of them are important to us. Which would you say is your top priority today? And we have a paper that they can select, cosmetic, the way your smile looks and feels, comfort, the way your mouth feels, function, which is the ability to bite and chew, and longevity, just preserving your natural teeth as long as possible. So this gives our TC a good insight into what's their primary driver, what are they really looking for. Another question that we have our treatment coordinators ask is, are you a details person or do you prefer just the facts? We use this one a lot because some people love to hear every specific plan that the doctor has for their child's treatment. and other people want to know that they're going to get an exceptional result, and they want to know how much it's going to cost and how long it's going to take. So we found that if you give somebody who doesn't want details, a lot of details, they get overwhelmed. And if you give somebody who wants details not enough, they don't feel that you've answered questions that they have, and they leave wondering. And also, this goes back to the people business mindset that we learned at Chick-fil-A headquarters. We're not just delivering an excellent product, we are paying attention to the person in front of us. So once the TC has gathered that information, the next steps is one of the most important parts of our flow. So then our treatment coordinator will privately debrief our doctors before they enter the consultation room. Okay, so by the time the doctor enters the consultation, he's not walking in cold. He's been prepped, debriefed, and completely filled in by our treatment coordinators. Our treatment coordinators shared what's brought the family in, what matters most to them, whether they're focused on cosmetics, comfort, function, or longevity, and if they are people that love all the details or somebody that wants just the facts. RTCs also share anything personal that can help, our doctor make an immediate connection. Does the patient like to play sports? What are their hobbies? Which school do they attend? What are their interests? Really anything that comes up that could create a meaningful connection between the doctor and the patient, or the doctor and the family. These details and this information allow our doctors to tailor their presentations to that specific family. If the parent values cosmetics, the doctor can connect his recommendations to Smile Arc, Smile Whip, Tooth Display, and Aesthetics. If the family's more focused on function, he can speak more directly about the bite, chewing, stability, and long-term health. If the family is a details person, the doctor then knows he can explain all of the details. And if they prefer just the facts, our doctors know that they should be very clear and concise. Probably, though, one of the most powerful things that happens is when our doctors bring up something that they have previously discussed with our treatment coordinators. You know, when a parent hears something like, "Oh, Cora told me you were really hoping to improve the way your smile looks in photos," or "I heard baseball is a really big part of your life," it immediately reinforces that we are listening, that we are communicating with each other. It creates trust, and it tells the patient and the parent that you're known here, your concerns matter, and our recommendation for you is being tailored to you. This is why the TC role is so powerful. The TCs are not just preparing the patient for the doctor for the consultation. The TCs are preparing the doctor for the patient. Okay, so up to this point, we've talked about what happens once the family is inside of our practice. We've gone over the TC greeting, the tour, our welcome gift, the questions that we ask, and the warm handoff from our treatment coordinators to our doctors. One thing I'd like to point out, though, is that the new patient experience doesn't actually begin when the family walks through our doors. In many cases, it begins before they even pick up the phone to call the practice. Today, potential patients are forming an opinion about your practice through your website, your Google reviews, and your social media. Those touch points are already telling them what kind of an experience they can expect. So before a patient ever even picks up the phone to give your office a call, they've already formed some sort of an opinion about your practice. This is why your website matters. I believe your website should accurately reflect what patients can expect when they arrive in your office. If your office feels warm, modern, professional, high touch, your website should feel that way too. If your practice is known for excellent aesthetic results, your website should show that. If your team is friendly, community connected, That should come through before the patient ever walks through your door. The goal is not just to have a pretty website. The goal here is really alignment. The online experience should match the in-office experience. When those two things match, trust starts earlier. The family feels like, this is what I expected. This feels consistent. This is exactly what I saw online. Another major touch point before the first phone call are your practice's Google reviews. We all know how important word of mouth is in orthodontics. Parents will ask friends, neighbors, coworkers, teachers, other parents where they should take their child for their orthodontic care. Google reviews are the digital version of that word of mouth. When a potential patient sees that 2 of our locations have more than 1,000 reviews, that communicates consistency, trust, and community confidence before we ever speak to them. This offers patients an opportunity to read about real experiences from real families. They're seeing comments about the doctors, the team, the results, the environment, and the way people felt while they were in our office. That becomes another layer of reassurance. Before they call, they're already thinking, other people in my community trust this office. We use social media very intentionally. Of course, we use it to highlight our bracket placement, aesthetic results, before and afters, and the type of smile design that we're creating. That matters because it helps families see our results before they come in for a consultation. But our social media is not only clinical, it's also one of the ways we connect our practice to our community. When someone scrolls through our social media page, they may see our team at a local event. They may come across a patient they know being celebrated in the office. They'll likely see a school that they recognize, maybe one of our scholarship winners, a local sports team, or a community organization that we have supported. They also see our team members, and that's important because our team is part of our community. They're the people patients see at the school events, ball games, churches, restaurants. They see them at the grocery store. Highlighting them helps families feel like they already know us before they arrive. So social media becomes more than a promotion, it becomes a connection. It helps people understand our clinical difference, and it also helps them feel our local presence, and that is the heart behind our practice. So those digital touch points help patients understand who we are before they arrive. But we also have another important audience that we needed to educate about the changes going on in our practice, and that was our referring dental community. So continuing education events have been very valuable for us because when we transitioned from twin brackets to the Pitts brackets and protocols, that change was not only visible to our patients, but also all of our referring offices. We had a lot of questions. Doctors, hygienists, and team members had questions about the changes that they were seeing. Our continuing education events gave us the chance to explain the why. We used those same videos to show the aesthetic results and was a great chance for us to connect and communicate with the dental community. When our referring offices began to understand the why behind the change, they, number one, were thrilled to see the results, but they felt that they understood, they could trust it, they could support it, and they were able to reassure the shared patients about the changes rather than creating doubt regarding that. So for us, CE events were not just marketing events, they're communication events. They help us align the outside dental community with what we are doing clinically inside of our practice. So whether it's a patient scrolling on social media, a patient reading Google reviews, or a hygienist attending a continuing education event, the goal is the same: to help people understand what we are doing, why it matters, and why they can trust it. So, as we start to wrap up, I want to bring this back to the main thread of the presentation. Clinical excellence matters deeply, but the way we communicate it, personalize it, and surround it with a thoughtful experience is what helps families trust it. I want to zoom out from the clinical tools and the digital touch points and talk about the details inside the patient experience. These are the small intentional things that make a practice memorable. Because when we say we're in the people business, this is what we mean. It's not only the treatment plan, it is how the office feels, it is whether the patient feels comfortable, it is whether the parent feels seen, it is whether the family feels like they're part of something personal. And for our practice, one of the clearest examples of this is Molly. So Molly is more than our therapy dog. She is part of how we make the orthodontic experience feel warmer, less clinical, and more personal. For nervous patients, she can lower anxiety. For families, she creates a moment of connection. And for patients who are in our practice, maybe starting in the growth and guidance program all the way through 2 phases of treatment, she becomes something that they look forward to seeing. From a practice standpoint, Molly is really one of those small details that has become part of the story families tell about us. They definitely remember the treatment results, and they also remember how they felt while they were in the office. Um, Molly has become part of the personality of our practice. We use her in our communication and social media in a way that feels warm, approachable, and very Westfall, very us. So let's hear it from Molly as she tells us about a day in her life.
Hi everyone, my name is Molly, and this is a day in my life as a Westfall Orthodontics therapy dog. I always clock in by saying hello to all the friends who have just arrived and getting in as many pets as possible. Patients all really love me, so this is never a problem. I like to check in with the team and make sure they're all doing okay too. Whew, then a quick snack break. Then it's time to get to work. I like to sit with patients while Dr. Westfall checks their teeth. This always seems to make them feel much better. And to be honest, it makes me feel better too. I like to lay on just like this. And sometimes, I even fall asleep. But that's okay, because being the cutest in the room is an important part of my job. Oh, and I can't forget playtime. It's the best part. I also pose for a lot of photos, so I guess that kind of makes me famous. But then I usually get really tired, so I take another nap. Whew, another long day of making people smile. I can't wait to get home and get my beauty rest. See you all tomorrow.
So community involvement has also always been a very important part of who we are. We support local schools, teachers, students, sports teams. We participate in festivals, 5K races. We provide scholarships for graduating seniors. We hold a lot of in-office events, like a Girl Scout cookie buying event. We support our community because these are the communities our patients, parents, and team members are part of. And it's where, myself and my family, we're part of this community. So for us, it's not just marketing. This is relationship building. This is making our local area brighter and better because we're part of it. when families see us showing up in their schools, showing up at their events, and in their communities, it reinforces that we're not just an orthodontic office that they visit for their appointments. We're part of the same community that they live in. That local connection builds trust in a way that's very real. So inside of our office, we work really hard to create moments where patients feel celebrated and known. I'll just start with when our patients finish their treatment, we do a big celebration where they kind of parade through the clinic. We do give patients the opportunity to opt out if they don't want to, but majority of our patients really look forward to this moment. So I'm just going to show you a quick example of one celebration. So we try to celebrate those moments. You know, of course, once you finish orthodontic treatment, that is a really big moment. For those of us that work in orthodontic offices, we see it every day. But for the patient who's finished their treatment, they're young, this is a really big accomplishment and a big milestone in their life. So we like to make sure that we acknowledge it and celebrate it. So we also do Patient of the Month, where we recognize a patient each month. This is somebody who's, either brings like a great attitude, has great brushing, just somebody who's been showing up and creating a positive impact on those around them. So we celebrate when treatment's complete, our Patients of the Month. We love taking in-office photos. Oftentimes we'll give patients a small surprise. Another thing that we do is we write handwritten notes to our patients. There's an example of it here. It's just something when patients come in, you've maybe had them in your chair and they were talking about, they're trying out for, a soccer team, later that evening. We would include a note about the experience in office, and then also something that's going on in their life personally, and we mail these out daily. I know a handwritten note is such a simple thing, but I really believe it communicates personal care in a way that's very special. And it's these small gestures that help our patients feel like they are part of our practice. They're not just coming here for a smile, they're coming here because we care about them. So the last piece that I want us to talk to here is about the physical space itself, your physical office. We believe that the office should support the experience that you want your patients to have. We've invested significantly in our buildings to create that experience. When the patients walk in, they feel welcome. They feel like this is a place that's well cared for. We have taken great attention to all kinds of details. How does the space look? Of course. We've gone so far as to make sure that we have a signature scent in all of our locations. We like to think about how comfortable is the seating in our waiting rooms. How comfortable are the treatment rooms? Is there privacy if somebody prefer that? We're also very thoughtful about how do our families move through this space. When we have young children, we decided that we needed to design specific play areas for the young members of our practice. So we want to make sure that our environment feels very welcoming, very special, and not clinical, not really dental at all. So every detail communicates something before any one of our front desk staff have even said a word. So we try to make sure that our spaces reinforce the same message our team is communicating. We're glad you're here, you're cared for, and this experience is intentional. So all of these details, Molly, community events, patient celebrations, handwritten notes, and our physical space They're not separate from our overall practice strategy. These are foundational blocks of how we've built the practice that we have. This is all part of our practice strategy. This is how we create trust. They are part of how we make our patient's experience memorable. And this is how our team is supporting our doctor's clinical vision day in and day out. So as I wrap up, I want to bring this back to the bigger picture. We started with clinical change, Dr. Westfall's transition from traditional twin brackets to the Pitts brackets and protocols. That change drastically improved our results. But it also challenged our team to become better communicators and better translators of our doctor's vision. What began as a question about bracket placement became a much bigger lesson for us about communication, trust, and creating an intentional patient experience. That's the power behind the throne. It's not one single thing. The power behind the throne is every single detail working together. The doctor's clinical excellence, our team's alignment, patient education, our treatment coordinators' customization, the digital trust that we've built, and the community connection and relationships that we foster. The patient experience is thoughtfully designed, and the doctor creates the treatment plan, but it's the team that creates the belief, the trust, clarity, and the momentum that bring that treatment plan to life. And that is what I consider the power behind the throne. All right. Well, I want to make this practical for you all. I have shared a lot about our story, and I want to outline a few things that you can take back to your practices. So Monday morning, you can implement 1 or 7 of these things. The first one would be to audit your most common patient question. What is the thing that gets asked over and over again? For us, it was, why are your brackets so high? That question, or the question that your patients are asking, can show you where you need to communicate better. A second idea would be to create a visual tool that answers that question. It definitely doesn't have to be complicated. It could be a flyer, a short video, or even a slide that you add into your consultation. Any simple visual that helps families understand what you're trying to explain. As I had mentioned, those OC videos for us have been phenomenal. Maybe you add some of those slides into your TC presentations. Another idea is to make sure that your team understands your doctor's why. The team cannot confidently explain a clinical philosophy that they haven't been taught. If something matters to the doctor, I think the team needs the language to communicate it. Another suggestion I have is to use patient photos to show proof. Families connect with real results, especially when those results come from your own practice. It helps them believe in the beautiful outcome you're describing. Another thing you could do is build a stronger treatment coordinator to doctor handoff. Make sure that you don't walk in, or your doctor doesn't walk into the room cold. Your treatment coordinator can help the doctor understand the family's priorities, their concerns, what are their communication styles, and also highlight any personal connection points before the doctor ever enters that consultation room. Another suggestion is to make sure your digital presence matches your in-office experience. Your website, Google reviews, and social media are often shaping trust before that first phone call. The way your practice looks and feels online should match what families experience when they arrive. And finally, probably my favorite suggestion would be just to add one intentional touch point that makes patients feel known. It could be that handwritten note. You could give a welcome gift, personalized video. You could incorporate a celebration, or simply a simple way to remember what matters to them. Maybe add more notes in their charts about some of the, I don't know, sports games they're coming up with, or, if they got a new pet, anything small like that. You don't have to overhaul the entire practice at once. Start with one point and one place where the team needs clearer language, or one moment in the patient journey that could feel more personal. I'm still constantly auditing our systems and how we're doing things, looking for ways that I can make small improvements to our patients' experience and their journey through their treatment at our practice. I believe it's those small intentional changes repeated consistently that are what turn a good clinical experience into a practice experience that families can remember and talk about. And before we officially close, OC has given us a way to stay connected. If today sparked an idea for your practice, I encourage you to scan the QR code and join the OC Ambassadors community. It's a great place to network, engage, learn, and continue growing along other progressive orthodontists and orthodontic practices. I want to sincerely thank OC Orthodontics for the opportunity to share our story today. My hope is that you leave with at least one idea that you can take back to your own practice, whether that's a visual tool for consultations, a more intentional treatment coordinator handoff, or a new way to think about the patient experience. If you would like to connect or follow along with what we're doing at Westfall Orthodontics, you can scan the QR code here. Thank you again for your attention. Bye.